proud ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination intact. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time down to 10:52. I'm going to go in global trotting, as you know. And as I say all the time, brace yourself. It could be a bumpy ride, but get yourself a very hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate. Get yourself seated in a very comfortable position. If you are standing in a very comfortable position as well. And let us go on this journey. But I can promise you assuredly that we will get to the destination that you so much want to. Starr Radio UK. Okay, so here in the UK, some of the stories that is making the rounds. Poor white peoples let down and neglected. That's what MPs are saying. White peoples from low-income families are falling behind every step of the way, an education committee says. And the patients will get more control over data. Hancock is saying critics fear data could be misused, but the health secretary says a new strategy will make it more secure. Now, staging in Scotland, staging is expected to confirm lockdown easing delays. The First Minister is expected to say a move to level 0 in Scotland will be pushed back until mid-July. And a final story from the UK front. Government borrowing eases in May. Despite a fall, borrowing was still the second highest on record for May as COVID spending continues. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Another story is making the rounds on other continents or other parts of the world. Now, COVID vaccines running out in poorer nations. That's what WHO is saying. There are chronic shortages in some nations where COVID infections are surging. Now, in Cambodia, activists have been charged with insulting the king. It seems to bear this resemblance to something that is happening in Ghana at the moment. Now, accused of insulting the king, the environment activists face up to 10 years in prison. Jesus. Some other sad story. Churches have been burned down on Canadian indigenous land. Now, police are treating the two blazes in the western province of British Columbia as suspicious. Tolerance, tolerance, tolerance. America, envoys have been recalled amid Nicaragua political arrests. Argentina and Mexico recall ambassadors for talks after a fifth presidential hopeful is detained. Well, you know, In developing countries where somebody becomes the head of state and becomes the law, they do whatever they want. Starr Radio UK. South Africa is in talks to welcome Vaccine Technology Transfer Center. Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus said the WHO was in talks to establish a technology transfer hub in South Africa, a move many hope will reduce inequalities when it comes to the COVID vaccine. Now, interestingly, China is to restructure Congo's debt. Maybe now they said that we'll take your presidential house and then maybe take over your ports, and then you can take the rest for free. But whatever it is, we will look into those stories. Starr Radio UK. In Nigeria, bandits, herdsmen, farm occupation, insecurity grounds, CBN borrowers. Farmer says loan repayment is difficult. Of course, it will be difficult when they cannot go to the farms. When they go to the farms and you have all these terrorist activities that is going on, people kidnapping, killing, and all that stuff. Yoruba scholars, monarchs caution Igboho demand decentralized government. And then Obaseki Ohaniri others seek local solution to healthcare problems. And they get that. Decentralization is that a way forward for Nigeria? We'll be looking more into those stories. Now, interestingly, in Ghana, authorities are saying that, well, the deadly Indian variant is yet to enter Ghanaian communities. It is in Ghana, we've got Asian communities there or Indian communities there as well. Do you think that they don't put measures in place to maybe stop them from coming in? There's a tendency that can get into the country. And how far? What have they done so far? Is it just by the grace of God? Somebody was saying that, look, it's just the grace of God that has helped us. That's why they keep on praying. And then the story pertaining to Ayini, Dr. Ayini, and the CJ. Dr. Dominic Ayini says he stands by the comment which triggered the Chief Justice's petition against him at the General Legal Council. According to the former Deputy Attorney General, the comments are within the permissible limits of legal practice and did not offend the independence of the judiciary. We're going to be looking at that. My colleague, Mr. Frank Davis, have called it judicial terrorism. But how do you see that? Good morning to you, and let me say Avisco Ajengbe, good morning to you as well. Okay, so we take a quick break. We'll be back with you. We'll be having Miss OLAYOMI Koiki joining us. But enjoy the rest of that music, and I will be back with you. Let me say a massive good morning to Taiwo KK Fasami. I hope you are doing very well. Is there no going back? Yoruba Nation now, okay.
Are you ready to turn it up?
This is Starr Radio UK.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
all around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Starr Radio.
In your car, at home,
On your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the host of Show and Joint Creation, and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate you, rather dictate life.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your perfect African Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 4 minutes past the top of the hour. I'm not with me in the studio, Mr. Frank Dennis, and I've gone with us in North London studios, Mr. Koiki. But I'm going to Frank first. Let me say, Frank, massive good morning to you.
Archie, good morning to our listeners, our viewers, our family members, our Benin family members, Ghana family members, and all of us who are still crying for Mother Africa. Olayomi, I hope you do well.
Well, I'm sure I can hear you loud and clear. I'm doing very well. And again, a very good morning to all our viewers and all our listeners from around the globe. The beauty of the 21st technology is they can see us, in terms of our interaction. And I can see Frank there. It looks like you've used what we call a diagram, is like the coconut oil because your face is coming so shine. I'm doing very well. From the view of the window here, the leaves are very green. The weather is very bright. I was able to, first stepped out yesterday, and it was a little bit breezy, like I always say. British weather, never trust it, but it's good to be back again. The 22nd of June 2021, 5 minutes past 11. For your advert, whatever information you want to do, business wise, remember to use Star Radio UK. And if you're sending money home, Sendwave is the best option. Let me come back slightly back again to you in the studio.
Okay. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I was doing very well because after a 6 month back in the southwest of Nigeria or southwest of Yoruba land, as we want to call it now, quite a lot of energy is back, and I'm sure I'll be sharing those energy with our listeners every time we're on the air. But make sure you tune in to the best radio station every Monday to Friday with Star Radio UK.
Okay. Listen, as Mr. OLAYOMI Koiki. I'm in the studio, as I said earlier, Mr. Frank Davids, and I am Archie, and we are going to get you to a destination. It's a promised land that when we tell you we are getting you there, for sure, we're getting you there. It could be bumpy, but you are sure of arrival at the destination. Okay, so let's look at some of the stories that you put across. First one pertaining to yes, let me pick that one first. Henry Adams seeking local solution to healthcare problems. Now, somebody will talk to you about, look, the federal system, and we know that the various states are supposed to do whatever thing that they have to do. However, if the money that is coming down or the locally generated funds are not enough, then whatever we do, we'll be seeing these challenges. And that's why some people are saying that, look, with the equipment that our localities get, equipment at the West, just disintegrate, and then we can get on with our lives. What is all that about?
Well, when we talk about the Nigerian healthcare system, to be honest with you, Mr. Archie and our listeners, Frank, there, it's quite shameful that with the best surgeon, the best of the Nigerians, especially those working with the NHS, as we know, we have a lot of Ghanaians, Nigerians, and other Africans, in their numbers and in quite high position working with the NHS. You would have expected the Nigerian government to have tapped into some of those resources and expect that to work back in Nigeria as well. Do we need healthcare in our life? Yes, we do. Because even if we want the local remedy, we also have to make sure that the local remedy is available, at a very, discount price as well. The headline that you picked up was coming up from one of the dailies, this morning that says Obasanjo, Obaseki, Ehanire, and others are now seeking a local solution to the healthcare problems. So what could be some of these local solutions? The former president Olusegun Obasanjo and the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, and the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki yesterday in Nigeria. Indeed, Africa must begin to harness their local resources to solve problems in the healthcare system. I'm sure maybe if the current president had decided to use the local remedy, he wouldn't be flying down to London every now and then for his treatment or to see the doctors here in London. The trio spoke during the launch of what we call the Independent Task Team of the Coalition for Dialogue of Africa on the equitable and universal access to the vaccination in Africa at the Igbenedum University. But like I said, we've got to see that it's not just the normal tic-tac talk that we love to do in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where I can tell you for decades and decades, so many things have been written when it comes to the healthcare of Nigeria. And let me just, before I come back again to you in the studio, I just want to look at, what this contributor also said. This was in June 2nd. Nigeria needs better management for better healthcare. This was by, Adekemi Adeniyi. Good management of government hospital is an important aspect of making healthcare accessible by everyone in Nigeria. But I'm not sure that an average Nigerian this morning will have access to what we call the state hospital as I speak to you right now. Let me come back again to you in the studio. It is still Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, listeners, an interesting update from there. But, okay, we'll go Frank. Let me go to Frank first. Now, Is it that they are putting their money where their mouth is? Because I don't like people who just say, oh, let's do this, let's do this. Meanwhile, we have an example in Ghana where they are talking about the fact that the education minister it has not got his own child in their government school, public school. He's taking their child to a private institution. Why? Because he thinks that it's not fit for purpose. So they're saying all this, so let's use local heads and all that stuff to treat our people, but we failed them, and they will now fly to the UK and US to treat themselves.
Yeah, actually, thank you very much. I think the call is a good call. However, I do not think that the current employment has today. But probably learn their lessons and now see the need for more. If you look at what has happened across the globe, Africans that we have won the defense and sending them.
Yeah.
So when there's malaria, we want the big fix. And the big fix is for a vaccine or a tablet or medication that has from already. African leaders are paid to work to cure, to buy but for the cure. We don't take interest in the investment. Research and development is something that we know our hands. Because all our teaching universities are take college, for instance, have teaching professional, qualified learning. You have money for instance, Friday, for instance, Dr. Bisi on this text. He pointed out yes, we have this that we already looking at.
Yeah.
But we are doing another from Nigeria, and I think that ARCHIE, that that are present in these countries that are not our stem cells. Okay. Now, when this COVID started, the question, how are the government find research?
Yeah.
We said, okay, look, not our traditional or our basically practice, but the other alternative medication are proving that they can heal, they can cure some of these diseases.
Some of them are already
paracetamol, something from Germany, something from only that is able to go to Holland and Barrett. Go to Europe manager, Australian company that ship a lot of what do you call it? High petrol knives that will throw that. It's all about look at what TNC has done, Chinese medicine. It's all about health. Every man that is taking over. It's all about look at what do you call it? This Genesis thing. Now it's all about health. So the question is, if global is endowed with a lot of health, why is it that we don't provide access for those are researching this? Actually, everything. A Ghanaian company that produces one FC, that remedy COVID issues.
Oh wow.
As we speak now, the Ghana have gone ahead trying to push one of their own confidence.
Okay.
A meditation is a remedy like all that has been developed by the one doctor. And so far the results are at 80% positive. So if we sell, if because we should have no remedies, it should follow their talks, probably a minority civil government or senator. It is a medical, what a practitioner support. So you have take some of these all fever, malaria, trace pathogens. Are you getting me? But how do we no, we're not interested in it. Because you know why? Procurement over there is not. Some might be staying. Let me go to your business. The research has been done regularly. So why do we waste our time to say that we want to now see that help other research is doing? I mean, the entire have you already. Why do we worry ourselves about that? Yeah, we have analyzed. Yeah, yeah, that more than stuff. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. Anything to the food of program, the other program. Yeah, I think we need that to have a what. Don't say that about investment. So do you think that we patronize that? I mean, if the necessary not be there.
Well, let's first look at this angle, and I'm just looking at some of these, the report that I talked about before I came back into the studio, that Nigeria needs a better management, or for better management for better healthcare. So the question is it the funding that we lack? Obasanjo, that was represented at that event by the Senegalese, Professor Abdoulaye Batili, says that Africa's main challenge is not the fund. So that means we have the fund, but it's about the resources, but inability to harness available resources to provide the homemade solution. He said, and I quote, "I have always believed that Africa's main challenge is not lack of funds or resources. Our challenge is the inability to harness available resources." Let me now come back to what the article that I was reading earlier on. The article says, and I quote, "When we talk about challenges within Nigerian healthcare system, we are often quick to criticize the government or the healthcare workers dealing directly with patients. But what about the people whose job is to ensure the efficient functioning of this institution? Question mark. Poor management and organization will equally lead to poor patient care."
That's it, leadership. Yeah, leadership. Like you're saying, we've got the NHS. I mean, I mean, experts, top. Actually, if you look at Chinese friends, it took a conscious effort. Yeah. It took leadership. Yeah. One, and that is why I'm not saying they don't go because they have one of the best hospitals in the world, right? Now, by the end of the day, they needed because HEPA extract is what it is. Yeah, no, I mean, let's say, cannabis, yeah, it helps. I think that, talk about, what you call it, oil, talk about, it's about time we look at the transformation of Africa. Look, several comments that God has given, and the kind of diverse plants and fauna that grows in Nigeria, and see those ones as resources, not just added them. Because some of those plants are there behaving gardens. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We pay so much money for people to look at the plants that we take to see, and they have complicated finding out how to grow them in their house. You think they are not going to? Well, we know that the experts said they said that we should not have the put it to harness whatever. That is our problem. So we have the president that we are not able to harness it and manage it well. Okay, it is not ready. Okay, so we manage. Good morning to you all, and good morning to you, Suleiman. I hope you are doing very, very well. Continue to share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. And let's go back to Yummy. Now we know that the Twitter ban, while you were there, I don't know how you survived it. I know that you were to your Twitter, but NGOs and journalists are challenging the federal government. Let's ban on the Twitter And the ECOWAS court, the ECOWAS court is also, is it in Nigeria?
There's a lot of when it comes to the Twitter, issue. I mean, it's still an ongoing situation. Yes, a lot of disruption is happening when it comes to the Twitter, and it seems, from this information, the media bill Buhari is trying to reintroduce Decree 4 under a different guise, according to stakeholders. Are we back to military dictatorship, or are we still in the civilian? According to the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Christopher Iziogu, on Monday, retaliated the position of stakeholders in the media towards the National Press Council amendment bill currently before the National Assembly. He said a stakeholder meeting was important to settle the gray area. He also added that any regulation that tendered towards the control of media by the government would be resisted. So it seems, not just that the Twitter has been banned, Nigerians media are kind of being barred, from saying exactly, the kind of freedom of speech that we have here in United Kingdom and those that live outside the other part of the globe as well. So in Nigeria, I mean, most African country, the government doesn't believe that you've got to have to criticize them, you've got to have to put them on their toes, and especially with so many things that is happening simultaneously in the country, the media at home are currently facing a very, very difficult time. According to the president of the union, while speaking in one of the mainstream media, in Nigeria, monitored by one of our correspondents, he said from the NUJ perspective, we did not really object to the public hearing, but from the Nigerian Press Organization perspective, made up of the newspaper proprietaries of Nigeria, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, and the Nigerian Union of Journalists, we are opposed to the planned amendment. We told the National Assembly that the matter was contention in the court and it will be sub judice to be discussed.
Okay. I don't know. Frankly, that's the right move. Actually, see, our leaders, don't forget, most of these people are PBCs. Barring very, very qualified BBC graduates. Is one of them. And the way, when he was in government, the certain things that he's been in government before. There are certain things that control how Nigerian newspapers have to compare, how the broadcasting networks are air, and the David decider to voice is not and the David decider is something ended in what you call it, some balance the media is not covered. Times and they are finding it difficult to understand that they are in a different dispensation where look, all we need is access to and in an attempt also bring the government, you must know that basically has allowed people to, but are you going to go back home today to stop providing these internet services? Are you going to tell MTN to stop providing internet services? Are you going to tell them close your company and go? You're not going to be able to do that. And once they are providing services, providing services, do what they need. You're not going to go to Nigeria to say, oh, to say, okay, stop WhatsApp. It's not going to happen. All these Twitter data, how effective was it? It wasn't that effective. People were saying, yeah, right. You cannot police it. Now, the question, however, is, and I thought fully the action that is involved now, because they need to challenge the authority and the power that the state has to be able to even attempt to stop people from voice now. If I see a carnage happening in what they call India, and I film that carnage, I don't need permission from Buhari, Azaro, from whoever from it publishing it. Citizen journalism is there, and none of them is going to be able to stop it. Look, accounts have a thing that I've worked with WA, right? Yeah. This is the last fight that is confronting and it's very, very costly. Because actually, definitely, if they want to stop some of this kind of phones, now you can demonstrate. There are phones that you said like this. Yeah. What are you talking about? It's not going to stop. Well, let's see what they will do. Any Star Radio UK. Let me say good morning to Felix for you. Hope you are doing very well. And let's go back to this already, Koiki. Yoruba scholars, monarchs, watching people who demand decentralized government. Maybe that will solve the cessation thing that is going on, but we don't know. Let's go to Yomi for more of the news that is making the rounds here. Okay, over to you, sir.
I'm going to come back on the Yoruba Scholars Monarch, but let's touch on some of the other headlines. It's exactly 26 minutes past 11. Remember, for all your whatever you have to do, information, business that you want us to talk about in the global world, get in touch with our producer on Star Radio UK. Yes, let's look at some of the other headlines. 7 years after Chibok, mass kidnapping of students has become norm in Nigeria. That is part of the headline coming out this morning from Nigeria. Why Buhari APC failed in the first 4 years. This is the Senate president now trying to justify why the government has failed in the first 4 years as well. Africa produced only 1% of the vaccine administered on the continent, according to the minister. That is also coming from the headline as well. NSAS, Adamawa panel submit report. Bauchi may conclude sitting next week. Remember the NSAS saga that took place, October 21st last year. So many panels have been set up across each of the states, but the result of those panels or the conclusion of it is still an ongoing as well. Buhari constitute first EFCC board in the first 6 years. That is also coming from one of the headline as well. Let's look at another headline from another editorial coming out this morning. Once again, this is still Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we are reporting from this morning. Gbajabiamila, the Senate, the Speaker for the House of Rep, APC must be committed to his manifesto to succeed. Wow, what a kind of a joke there. You will have expected that they will have committed to that in the last 6 years, but they only have about 2 years. And with the whole agitation that is going on, and people saying that there will not be another election in the next 2023, according to the Speaker of House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila said the All Progressive Congress, also known as APC, must be committed to his manifesto for it to succeed in governance. Gbajabiamila said members of the party must also not forget that they will answer for what we have done with our time in government. It's good that they know that every one of them will be accountable for the time that they've spent during the government. This statement from the Speaker's spokesman, Mr. Lanre Lasisi, quoted him as saying, these are the Progressive Youth Conference that was organized as well. Also, I picked up a news on that where the vice president was kind of putting the blame on the youth as well. That you don't expect those at the power to just move away for the youth as well. So that is also part of this government that have failed woefully. Nigerians have become more poverty country of the world. I was able to go down on an experiment yesterday on one of the local store by me just to determine what £2 could be able to get me, as a man and maybe a younger, child that we might have with me. So that means £2 as at Nigerian money today is about 1,440 naira, and that was able to buy 15 crates of 15 eggs, in the crate. One loaf of bread at 49p. The egg was going for £1 18 pence. And if I wanted to be a little bit greedy, I could buy at least maybe another baked beans of 22 pence, and I was able to pick up a lemonade for 17 pence. That was what I was able to buy. And on the sitting, I'm not sure anyone would have been able to eat that in one go. Now, let's come back. Before I come back again to you in the studio, it's exactly 11:30 and time fast spent as well. Yoruba scholars and monarchs caution Sunday Igboho and also demand decentralized government. I'm not sure how the government will be decentralized. Wole Soyinka talked about that some few weeks back. Just last week when he said, and I quote, decentralize the country, or the country goes into disintegration. According to the Conference of Yoruba, has called for the decentralization of government to allow the 6 geopolitical zones in the country to have autonomy to function. According to the conference, which was held in attendance, Yoruba scholars traditional rulers was led by Professor of History, University of Texas, Austin Toyin Falola, who submitted that decentralization of power would solve most of the problems, including the insecurity facing the country. The Yoruba leaders and scholars met at the Babcock University Iseyin Remo in Ogun State in the southwest on Monday for what they call the 6th Atmanda Lectures and the Conference of Yoruba Culture and Society. It is a 3-day conference of Yoruba culture and society, and many national and international scholars on Yoruba culture are speakers, including the foremost private art collector in Africa, Prince Yemisi Shillong, Director of African Studies Institute, University of Georgia, US, Akinloye Ojo, and Professor Arinpe Adejumo. So you could see that we have all these professors, but the question they're putting out there is decentralize the country, but I'm not sure whether these APC, and just like Bajabia Mela said, that deceived a lot of Nigerians when they were coming on board in 2014 that they will restructure the country. But I'm sure 6 years down the line, maybe they will do that before the end of their tenure. While speaking on the state of the nation, Falola said the Yoruba are angry, the Igbo are angry. So to minimize and reduce the anger is what we should find a solution to. At this time, the best advice one can give is decentralization and autonomy in various regions. I don't think separation is the best way to go, but seeking a better autonomy in this region is a better option. Whether the government will listen is another angle, but whether the Yorubas that are agitating will listen is something that we will continue to discuss as well. Another professor of history, Olutayo Adeshina, in his own submission, advised the agitators for Yoruba nation to think things through. He said, those who are pushing for it, I will say, let us take it easy and see it from the broader perspective, because here, the structure of Nigeria is skewed, it is imbalanced, and it is also not right. Yes, we have right to agitate. I would say let us take it easy. A lot of Yorubas have taken it easy for the last 60 years of the independence. A lot of Yoruba have taken it easy for the last 100 years of this amalgamation, and within that 160 years and 20 years of the democracy, so many Yorubas, so many Igbos, so many Middle Belt have died for the negligency of some of these professors that refused to speak truth to the power, until those that started talking about this agitation came up and say, enough is enough, and we are not backing down. July 3rd is going to be one of the biggest MAGA rally that have never been seen before, which is just about some few weeks from now. Let me come back now to you in the studio. This is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, so like we're in the North London studios, remain the studios second place. Title APC. I don't know, but I think. But let's talk about this decentralization. Now, I look at the states. And the federal system as somewhat decentralized. This what noble men, let me put it that way, are talking about decentralized. Okay, do you think that should appease decentralized? And we have in the north where we have the Sharia law. Now, actually, the Sharia law is working the way it's supposed to. And if you kill somebody, you have to be killed for it. You go rob somebody, you put somebody's farm to destroy, you face a penalty. Then in some way, somehow, that will control their spirit and everything that's going on. But I don't know how this decentralization, because they admit that yet the all the history in the past, yeah. And I do believe that radical beliefs are there. Yes, everybody keep on talking about decentralization. What do not use jargons that's confuse people, which is what you might be. One will justify would say that look, the way we run the 36 in Nigeria is a decentralized system because governments are elected and one issue we look at is power involved. There's a different, there must be a sequence and the structures that but to what extent has
in layman term, the structures that you have, there's administration over here, this one, but to what extent has power been devolved from the central, the central government as of today? For instance, recruitment of the police. Do the states themselves have the power to recruit the police? Do they set their own? Do they have their own army? Do they have their own thing to police their environment? Those are powers that you can give them. To devolve power, give them. Do they serve their own taxes? Do they manage their own laws? Do they say, okay, fine, communication law, this is what pertains, or we use one law that might not work in the north just because it has worked in the south and is part of the national law, we want it to apply in the north. So those are some of the differences that we're going to be having. For instance, if you're telling me that in the north, certain states do not allow women to be recruited into the police, and therefore when we come to south, we should also accept that we should not recruit them to the, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so it might come to a point. If you go into Singapore, for instance, when you get to the airport, one thing they've done cleverly is our law. As a migrant who is entering that country, you are taught and you are made to understand the rules and the laws. You cannot chew gum in that country, right?
Oh, I see.
You can't you can't chew gum in that country. So, for instance, they gave you a first opportunity. There's kind of a law sheet that they give to you, the do's and don'ts. Actually, they give you the first opportunity, whether you understand the rules, the do's and the don'ts. If you say no, they take their time to explain them to you.
Okay.
If you say no, they take time, they take their time. If it goes and you prove that you do not understand, they take you are back, because they do not want to spend trying to police you.
Yeah.
So you either accept the laws
or you get out.
So there's no excuse of ignorance.
Okay.
You cannot tell me that I've just migrated from Nigeria and I don't. No. Before you enter, the law is there for you to understand before. So if you catch, spitting in public and they arrest you and you do not know, that means you might have fallen as an angel from heaven. You did not pass through their borders. So this is what we might have to look. If you take Ghana and you take most of these countries, with all decentralization, local government system, but to what extent has power been devolved? Because it is that power, the power to set your own goals, the power to determine how you govern. And that is what I think these people are coming from. That if we can have 6 zones, geographical zones, but I don't know which of these zones that they are talking about. When because do not forget,
who comprise of one zone.
Some of these what they call it, states cut across tribes. Just like the way you have in Ghana and Togo, you have the airways on the other side of the border. In some of these states, you might have where Ikeja or where Zamfara state ends. The next what they call it, a state that is close to you, you might find out that brothers and sisters share borders, or they live over. So basically, if you went to, group them together, zone them, you might find out that brothers and sisters, Northern Ireland and they live in different parts of this zone. So what are we achieving? It's something that can work, but it has to be thought through. And when they are talking about decentralization, I want them to go further to tell us, what do you mean by decentralization? Because it's an English word that a lot of politicians have used. But what do you mean? You go to Ghana, for instance, they tell you have local government, but as we speak, one of the policies Kufuor did, which for me I will always preach against, is the fact that you take Zoom Lion, for instance, the district assembly common fund, 10%, the law makes it that part of that district assembly common fund should be allocated directly to the local authorities. And the local authorities must decide what to use the money for. And that's why we do have election of local representatives who go there to say, okay, we need a toilet. Probably we need to paint our wall. So that money goes to the locals make a decision as to how that money will be used for. What did we see under Zoom Lion? 10% of that money was taken someone at the national level decided that we are awarding the contract to sweep villages into someone and to sweep villages that do not need to be swept because local, I sweep to my border, you sweep to your border, our village is clean. But they're taking 10% of that money from my money. You look at what is happening. President Kufuor came again. The agenda that these are the priorities of MPP and that's what they want to achieve. And therefore, the District Assembly Common Fund that government, the central government must not have a hand on. We now have Natoshi Ado, the administrator of local government, helping the local government to decide what those money. They're not supposed to touch it. But because they've appointed a district chief executive, they have that influence. So to what extent are policies in Lagos State being influenced by the central government? To what extent are the policies in Cross River State being influenced by local government? Are those laws that are working Zamfara State, Kano State, are they all applicable in Yoruba land? Those are some of the things, but they need to break it down instead of just using decentralization.
Yeah, I can still hear you, but I'm sure the image is now. I don't know why but I can hear you, but I'm not sure why you're not picking up the. As long as you can hear me back in the studio, I know there's a bit of delay in the networking from here.
I think now we can.
Okay. All right. Let me just quickly put out these two comments coming out from one of the our listeners on the YouTube here, and the other one from the other side here. Ojo Adekoya, they says. Those professors are still afraid of their bellies. The self-centered professor refused to see the future benefit of the self-determination as a nation. Whether they like it or not, Yoruba nation has come to stay. And also coming from Temple of Wealth on YouTube says, decentralization can work. I'm not going to use the word that he has used there, but I will say in a country like Nigeria, because of religion and culture. We don't have anything in common with the Fulanis and the Hausas. We are Oduduwas, have better things in common with the Biafrans. And these are part of the issues that just Frank was raising there. What do you mean by decentralizing the country? Because it means so many things. But some of these professors, like I said earlier, have waited for too long until some of us started coming out to say, what has happened, to the autonomy that should have been given to us more than some decades ago. But now that this has not worked, restructuring is just too late. The only thing we're out now is the self-determination of a new nation coming out of Nigeria.
Well, listen, let's start with Saudi Arabia and Nigeria. Not only are they Nigerians, but that's interesting. They are hinting that it got every. I mean, if they are able to manage them, then that will do it for them. But I'm looking at what the developed government state that you're talking about there. And
if they are able to harness them, then that will do it for them. But I'm looking at what the devolved government thing that you're talking about there, and we have that in UK where we have Scotland, and they are still agitating that we don't want to be part of it. So would devolved governance help solve this situation?
Actually,
it will still go
it
on.
depends on how it's up. Let's take don't even go out of London. Let's take London. A classic example of what decentralization and devolved power means is what you see in London.
Yeah, the mayor.
The mayor has no power. He has little power when your council tax are being set. So if you go to North London, the local authorities over there determine how your bins are collected.
Yeah.
They determine the level of your council tax.
Yeah.
They have influence and input into local policing, local facilities, housing policies. They have everything over there. Okay, but we are still in London.
Yeah.
The mayor is elected,
Yeah.
but power has the power to determine how you live locally has been given to the local authority.
Now that's proper decentralization.
That is proper proper decentralization. So you might live in a 3-bedroom house in Reading, you might live in a 3-bedroom house in probably Enfield. The council tax you pay are totally different. Are you getting me? We know that is exactly what it because okay, the frequency at which probably the beans will come and collect your bean probably 3 times a week over the 3 times. As we speak now, there's a new policy. Government nationally says that how the new housing policy that came to be that when you have 5 tenants in your house, you supposed to have, or the maximum tenants you can have to use one toilet, one bath is 5.
Okay.
Anything more than that, you need
an extra
bathroom and this. Now, when you have 5 tenants also in one house, you're supposed to acquire a license. That is what the national law says. Enfield Council have looked into that and they say, okay, yes. Locally, we think the need for housing is so pressing area, and therefore some landlords are abusing the system. So we're going to increase our policing of that, and therefore, when you have 3 tenants in your house, you must acquire license and pay us £130 per room a year as part of your license. What are they doing? You don't have the same thing, but they have looked at it and they are using it to raise finance. So you see, they are playing within the law. If we get to Ghana, get to Zimbabwe, get to Nigeria, what we said, we pay lip services to what we call decentralization development. The president with the executive power, who has the power to appoint and all these people, and they can influence even the election of governors. So Buhari, for instance, when they're going for governor election in, let's say, Ikiti State, who have influence. Okay, this is my preferred candidate. And the APC will use marshal all its effort to try and let someone who will please Buhari. So basically, the system we have is not what I mean.
Oh yes, let's just it's exactly 11:48. We've spent so much time, discussing issues, especially when it comes to Nigeria, that is going through so many issues of its own as well. But let's just quickly look at what is trending on the social media, and then we can start winding it down. Once again, this is still Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. 5 different things are trending when it comes to Nigeria this morning. Even though most Nigerians don't have access to the to the Twitter, according to the government, but some are still bypassing it. Enugu is trending as number 1 this morning with 7,617 tweets. Buhari is trending with about 38,302 tweets. Nigerians is trending. Esther is trending, and Lagos is trending under the music. So why is Enugu trending? Let me see if I can quickly find out why Enugu is trending this morning. I could see a young boy called Inamdi Chimobi Michael from Obolo local government in Enugu State testing his newly built drone. Those are the kind of brains that we have back in Nigeria, but unfortunately, with the situation there, it doesn't seem to be working as well. Let me see if there's another reason why it's trending. It seems that is the reason why that is trending. Likewise, this is also trending. This is the house where Trigger Happy police inspector killed 5 people, left 4 injured. This was on Sunday morning. So there's a video of that where a police officer has been able to kill 5 people and 4 injured as well. So let me quickly just go back and see. Definitely Buhari will be trending as the president of the country. And as a lot of people, have different things when it comes to that name Buhari. So stop killing bandits. They are victims too. No school is safe until government negotiates with them. That is coming from Sheikh Gumi. I might be able to analyze that maybe during the Niger Voices tomorrow, because Sheikh Gumi is not telling Nigerians and the government that it doesn't seem the bandits will be going anytime soon, because you can't continue to be killing the bandit and expect your school to be safe as well. What a very word from him there. Yeah. Yes, Sheikh Gumi says no school is safe until government negotiates with the bandit. This was what he said yesterday. I know we didn't put it out on the headline today, but I'll be analyzing and be discussing that more on Niger Voices tomorrow.
me say thank you very, very much for this wonderful time. This
Voices tomorrow.
Okay. Yummy, let me say thank you very, very much for this wonderful time this morning. My apologies for that. Yes. Okay. But we'll catch up with you later on. Thank you very, very much. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And let me acknowledge Amayo Ajeriga.